Well, hello and welcome to The Wrap, episode number 33. This March 2nd, 2023 on a Thursday. I'm Nathan Guerra. Anna Russel is next to me virtually. I'm coming at you out of Wisconsin. She is somewhere in New Zealand as usual, not traveling and hanging out in the car cast. I'm not in the hotel cast. We're back in the regular studios as usual. And this is a show rounding all things Zwift up for the last week. It is racing, events, tech, fashion. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, as well as Facebook. This is also a podcast that you can download anywhere that you can get a podcast. Go ahead and search up The Wrap and Zwift, and you should be able to find it pretty easily. What's coming up at you this week on The Wrap? Well, we got an awesome guest. That is Sai Bradley. Always awesome to have him on the program. Usually we're talking with him about all things ZRL, as he does do the weekly features for the upcoming courses, rules, etc. So definitely go check him out. And we're really excited to talk to him about the route reveals for the ZRL finals playoffs. We also got today on The Wrap, we're going to be talking about obviously what we've been up to for our training. Questions from the listeners. What is Zwiftcraft? Tomorrow is the Zwift Grand Prix finals. And we're going to be talking about what Zwift have coming at you for the Grand Prix finals. A topic that's come up over the last week after our conversation with Alex Cole last week, some comments that he made about how his Worlds racers were racing in relationship to weigh-ins and what might be best for our sport. A little discussion about that. It just popped up in my feed that there may be extra power-ups out on Zwift, which is super interesting. And then a little bit of a promo for an Alp race or pace with Vision Cycling happening on March 11th. So, Anna, we got a lot to cover, and we went late. We went live 5 minutes late, so we better hurry up. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
So what have you been up to the last week? What's going on, Anna?
Well, you came into one of my live streams. I actually did some structured workouts this week, like shock horror. And yeah, I did one that Jen Reel shared with me. So it was on Tuesday, 3 hours of like focused riding. So usually I'd just jump on and do 3 hours of kind of cruising around, do some work at the same time. There was like no work happening at the same time. It was quite hard. And it kind of was a bit of a revelation to me into what Zone 2 is. I'd actually watched I was listening to a podcast, a different podcast to ours, and they were talking about Zone 2. Like, it shouldn't actually be that easy. It's not like a recovery ride. It should be pretty focused. I was like, oh, okay, so I'll do this on Zwift. I usually don't put in like a power target, but I did. And yeah, okay, it's relatively hard and focused. I was riding, I think, at around 3 watts per kg. And one thing, like I talked to you about on the stream, Nathan, was the thing I was actually watching more was my heart rate, because I was seeing if it was decoupling from my power. Because if it started to rise and my power was staying the same, it definitely wasn't Zone 2. And I found, and it was interspersed with some speed work, I found in the last bit where I had to hold that for 45 minutes, my heart rate was kind of like creeping. So I ended up dropping it by about 20 to 30 watts at the end. But I was like, finish it. My legs were sore the next day. So I was like, I'm going to do a few more of those because I'm not used to that kind of long but focused power effort. So yeah, I don't know if you do that much, but yeah, that was like quite the revelation for me.
When I get super serious in my training, that becomes the main focus, actually. So, but it's during a very specific time of year. If you're playing catch up in the middle of summer, you're training for Zwift racing. So like, you're not training, at least here, well, maybe down by you, whatever, depending on where you live in the world. But if all of a sudden in the middle of June, I'm like, oh, I need some base. Well, you can play a little bit of catch up, and you can probably do something for late August or sometime in, or September, but you're not going to get a whole lot done. I call that in my coaching, pushing the edge. But there's, in every single zone, there's an area to push the edge. Like, you're trying to get stronger in all these zones. How do you push that edge of metabolic response without going over too far and like either becoming overtraining if it's certain zones that might just overtrain you if you're doing it too much, or I think like my power between one source and another source is like 10 watts difference, 15 watts difference. Mm-hmm. And I've been using another power source that's the lower one. And what happened was I ended up going too hard and decoupling way too much during my base this year, and ended up getting a little bit sick maybe because of it, or just overtraining because of it. So definitely though, you will get used to it. Like after right now, where I'm sitting right now, I'm really, really happy. My decoupling has gone down. It's taken about a month and a half though, Anna. Like the reality is it's a long process here, but isn't it's one that you can always be kind of working on and fit in here and there. So, but those long rides, yeah, I mean, that's where it's at. I mean, 5 hours. If you go back to my Twitch streams, I think 2 weeks ago, I did 5 hours blue, and it was just kind of like, stick it there, and then the ride in the edge, it's like 5 hours blue, maybe a 3 hour or a 5 hour blue with like intermixed green and red, like green zone 3. I'm saying blue and green, and people are like, what are you talking about? Is this Sesame Street? No, it's yes, yes, it is Sesame Street. No, so Zwift zones, for those that are wondering, blue, green, yellow, and whatever that last color is, kind of reddish. Insane level.
Yeah, orange, red. Yeah.
Orange, red, whatever. But anyways, that's a long explanation. Then this is a whole conversation in of itself. You opened up the zone 2 conversation.
So I think like Zwifters come in and is like, whoa, this is going to be boring to watch you guys doing your zone training. It's not boring when you see me being like, what am I doing? What is this? This feels hard. Is it too hard? Maybe it's too hard. Wait. No, I'll just hold on. Let's see if I can do it. So,
okay, but that workout did not have just zone too. Like that workout, I came in there, was like, whoa. And you were going up the Ventoux, and it was like mixed in with VO2s at time. I was like, this looks crazy.
Yeah, so it was kind of like 20 minutes at like this zone 2 revelation that I had. And then it's sort of, it was like over-unders for like 15 minutes and then back to zone 2. And then, but it made the 3 hours go really fast. Whereas I think before I'd kind of just float around and it felt really nice, but I don't actually think it was doing much. I don't think I'd do it every week, but it was fun to kind of do. And what have you been up to, Nathan?
Well, we did the PRL full this past, was it on Sunday or did we do it on Monday? I think it was on Sunday. And so, that was good. We almost, I don't know if this is a feature or a bug, but we've noticed that when we have this, Gabby and I have this thing where we're just people who go out and ride bikes to take pictures and buy coffee, like buy coffee, do coffee rides and take pictures. Well, that's kind of become a Zwift thing for us now too, where like we'll be in the middle of our rides and like pushing like camera 0 and like taking all these pictures or whatever. But I noticed that when you're in the free camera, I don't think the little you're turning things come up. I don't think the little, hey, watch out, a turn is coming.
No.
And so
I don't think they do.
And so you're using the arrows to move the camera, and you're not being warned that you could be turning off of the route. And so when you're getting a route badge, you have to stay on the route. And so
I thought the route badges were like fixed. So when you're doing a route that you've picked, do you have a choice to turn off it? I thought you were just set on that fixed route.
Well, we just entered through the game. Like we entered London, right?
Oh, did you not click, we're going to go do the PRL route?
No, we clicked that. And then the little thing came up on top.
Does that not keep you fixed?
No, there's no route lock. That came up during the broadcast too, because I was freaking out. I was so mad. And I was like, what the heck? And then I was like, you know what? This is a situation where I would have blamed myself if there was a route lock, because I'd be like, oh, it's my fault. We didn't turn on route lock, right? Which you could say, why didn't you use a meetup? Why didn't you use an event? Well, there's a couple different reasons. I want people to be able to join us during our ride. And we had awesome people. We had people join us. It was so much fun. Community came in. People were riding with us. They were helping us, pacing us up the box hill climb, etc. But if we were in a meetup, people couldn't join us. If we were in an event, well, you're just alone in an event. Like, it's just the two of you, like, in an event. So it's like, this is silly. So we were like, okay, we'll keep it open. We'll just jump on PRL. But then there's no route lock. Now, because there's no route lock, now I'm blaming Zwift, because it didn't tell us that we were turning and we were in camera 0, which means she's just looking around taking pictures. She's having fun, smiling. And all of a sudden I look over, I'm like, babe, where are you going? I was freaking out. I was so mad. I was like, because we'd already put in like an hour, and I was like, are you kidding? And she was like, no, oh no. And so we actually on our Instagram, if you go check it out, it's a great moment because we weren't sure. We just soldiered on. We were like, whatever, we're going to go and maybe it'll still work. And GP Llama was actually in chat. He watched the whole stream actually. And he was like, it doesn't work.
What?
He was like, he was probably working on a video in the background or something, you know, like he's probably, and so Llama was like, I don't think it works. And everyone, like a lot of people were like, no, if you go off, it's not going to work most likely. But she had turned around, I think, quick enough that she might not have actually entered another route, perhaps, but she turned around quick enough or something. I don't know, because all of a sudden we crossed and I was like, nope. And then you know how it takes like a second for badges? I was like, nope, oh shoot. And then all of a sudden, boom, and we were ecstatic. It was like, we were so ecstatic. It was so good.
She was like, it was like unabated joy. I was like, I get that. That is so cool. I love it. Because that delay on the route badge has been doing my head in, because for some reason, a few of my route badges disappeared that I'd done before. That's why I was going up Ven Top. And yeah, I like cross at the top, and then you're looking and looking and looking, and then it pops up and you're like, oh, phew. But yeah, PRL is not one that you want to not get that badge.
No, like 5 hours of riding, like 11 box hills. Oh my gosh. It was like, if she doesn't get this.
Course, actually. I did it as a Mother's Day present to myself. I was like, I just want 5 hours downstairs on the bike to myself. And it was amazing.
Chat, come on, let us know what you think about this reward that Anna has for herself. Oh my God.
I know, my friends were like, what did you get for Mother's Day? I was like, 5 hours on my bike.
On a trainer.
Like,
not even on your bike outside, on a trainer.
I know. But I actually really, really liked that course. Like, I found the time went really fast. I really enjoyed Box Hill. Like, I was going pretty hard each time. I think I was trying to beat my PR each one and then kind of recovering a bit on some of the flats. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. I really hate Ven Top, but I really enjoyed PRL. So if you haven't done it, I'd go do it because that was a fun ride.
We used it for base tempo. So it was like in between, literally just chilling, whatever felt good. And then whenever we hit Box Hill, it was zone 3, almost zone 4, like right subs SST work. And then the last one, I had a really good Box Hill actually for the last one. Gabby was like, go as hard as you want. I'm going to go. And then we both kind of like went for it. And had a really good, which tells me the base is there. So that's good. So that's what
Sorry, I know we've got this at the end of our welcome part, but it kind of makes sense to bring it in now because I'm excited. I've joined up your Alp challenge thing, and it was in the Saris chat as well because I saw M. Nyquist has also joined up. So
this was her idea. This was her idea. This was M. Nyquist's idea actually because she wanted to do. Her and Gabby were talking about doing a end of their Zwift season. Actually, this was M's verbiage. She had said, I want to do an end of my Zwift season like challenge or something, you know? And so she was like, Gabby, you want to pace me up the Alp to Zwift? You want to go up Alp to Zwift with me? And I was like, that's a cool idea. I was like, I'm going to do that with you guys. So then we were like, and we're also launching, relaunching Vision in the next week or two here. And so alongside of that, I was like, let's just do a Vision ride. Like, let's do racer pace up Alp. So I'm going to do it. You're going to do it. Everybody's going to do it. That's what's
yeah, I'm going to go for a PR. I think at the moment I'm like a 48 minute. So I want to like
sub 45.
Yeah, that was a quick one.
Sub 45.
Because I went up on oh geez, yeah. But I think I've got it in me. I do like doing that climb. So yeah, that's going to be heaps of fun. And there will be a little bit of competition that always makes you go a bit faster.
Yeah, and it is racer pace. I did put the link in the chat over on YouTube. We'll be promoting it over the next week and a half. We got plenty of time. It's March 11th, everybody, on a Saturday at noon. So I think it works pretty well. You got to be up fairly early, Anna, but I think that's like 6 a.m., 7 a.m.
No, it's like 8 a.m. for me because the time zones have changed, I think. Okay, cool. So it's easy. That's why I was like, great. Yeah, I usually ride on a Sunday because the grandparents come around, and so I get a little bit of time. So I was like, oh, this is like perfect timing for me. So don't change it. One time I
Nope,
entered
not
a workout
changing.
of yours, and then next time I went out, I was like 4 a.m. now. Oh, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, we had that. I remember that one. Well, things happened on that one. I had to stop that one up. I forgot. I actually think it was like I forgot the Grand Prix was happening or something.
You did.
Yeah, that's what happened. All right. Well, speaking of Grand Prix is happening for the finals tomorrow, actually, and I am really excited about this because they're using the points hunter is what they're using, which was one of my absolute favorite. Now, Anna, do you remember the points hunter? And did you like it? Is what I'm going to ask you first and foremost when it comes to the formats. And that's the one where it was like there's only so many points available throughout the entirety of the race. The finish line has 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it's like the first sprint point is 1 point, the second sprint point is 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, the last one. And you got to figure out when you want to risk it, but there's only a certain pool of points available for all the racers.
Yeah, it's sorry, I just kind of went into chat and I saw all these people just writing the number 38, and I was like, what are they talking about? I think Tepe is going to come in and aim for a 38 on this Alp challenge. So there we go. I'm thinking that's what it means. Otherwise, I've just put him in it. And I think Sai has said, yep, 38, I'll go for that too. That's what those emoticons mean. I'm sure, Sai, that you're going to do it as well. But yes, no, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm all about honesty. We didn't make the Grand Prix finals, so I'm a bit like haven't even looked at what's going on. I have seen that, like, I'm just kind of like, no, yeah, we're not there. It looks very exciting. I like the point structure. I like that everyone's racing together again, because I know from having done the Grand Prix races where you got split up as a team, it kind of became a little bit lonely and not like super fun. So yeah, I think it's great that it's kind of like what they're saying, that traditional scratch points race, but with a difference. I do really like it. I think it will be really exciting. I love that they're on the Muckle Yin. Have you ridden that course yet?
I love that course. I love that course. I wish that was used in Worlds, actually. Like, I'm like, this course is so good because it has everything that you would want in a race. It has.
We're like one brain, two people, Nathan, because I honestly, I started racing it and I was like chatting to, it was a Z race, so it wasn't anyone I knew. And I'm like, this is the best race course ever, and messaging. And people were like, okay. I was like,
settle down.
Yeah. And people were coming into my Twitch and I was like, wow, like, what do I do here? Because you come into that second time up the climb, the gravel part, I think you go up and you come down the really steep one. Then you've got that Clyde kicker. Then you come into like a downhill finish. So I was like, do I try and break away? How much of a breakaway do I need? Because there's a big downhill here. Like, it was, yeah, this course, I think this is coming into me as one of my faves. Temples and Towers has been a fave race course for me for quite some time. But I think, the Muckle Yin, if you have not raced this, go give it a try, because I found it so fun.
Yeah, and if you're listening to the podcast right now, you can go look it up over on Zwift Insider for it. But this, for the viewers, you can see right now the point structure and how it'll be happening. Breakaway Bray is in there right from the get-go. Then you head to the Skier Summit. You head back on over to Breakaway Bray. Then you hit the Skier Summit the opposite direction, that steeper direction. Then the Clyde Kicker. It is a shorter, it's 21K, but I raced this the other day, I think like a week and a half ago. And even though it was shorter, because of the way it comes at you and the challenges and the opportunities to attack, if people want to make a race on this course, it doesn't make it very difficult to make a race on this course, right? Like, you really have a lot of opportunity. Yeah. And with the way that the point structure is going to be used here and how many riders are going to be fighting for points, I think that it's going to make it all that more exciting, because you got a good course, a good point structure with a lot on the line, and people trying to follow, though, for that finish at the same time. I think this is going to be one of our best Zwift Grand Prix finals. I know you didn't make the finals. I'm sorry, Anna, but still, I think this is going to be one of the better formats on a really good course for this format.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the races will make the day, but this is a course that races can make the day, because so many options. Even looking at the power-ups, you're getting an anvil if you had riders who can save an anvil, and I mean, we saw what happened at Worlds where the anvil train came down. I mean, yeah, I'm actually away this weekend commentating Ironman, so I'm not going to be like around my computer to watch it, but I will be watching it when I come back because yeah, I just want to see people racing this course and what kind of strategies they have. Because my strategy when I raced it, that second climb, I broke away into like a very small group and we were able to not get caught on the downhill. And then there were more attacks on the kicker coming into the finish. And unfortunately, I was with men, so the downhill sprint wasn't like the best for me.
Unfortunately, we need to just like grab that soundbite. Unfortunately, I was with men. That's it. That's
I know. But girls, I mean, you've got my back. When you go from racing ZRL, female racing, and then you're like, oh, I just want to jump into one of the Z races. Wow, like it's a difference. Like there is a significant difference because on the flats, dudes just have higher raw power. And so you're working really hard to stay with the pack because the raw power is like 50 watts above what you're used to in the women's racing. And then the hills, boom, every hill, I'm like, see ya, see ya, like just gone. And then the downhills are like pretty brutal. So it's a completely different style of racing when you jump in with the men.
100%. Well, speaking of weight differences and all of that, after our conversation last week with Alex Coe, let's talk weigh-ins because he made a comment that really had me thinking this week. Like this is the esports coach that we know of in the community right now, right? Like he's very, very, very well known in the community. There's probably a lot of coaches out there that are coaching esports athletes, but to me, it feels like Alex came out of the community and has developed a lot of his coaching through esports. And so I think that's really cool. And so, but that gives him a certain knack. It gives him a certain niche in which he has said that for Worlds, he was essentially needing to train his athletes to be to essentially say who can be the most depleted and the strongest is what it sounded like for weigh-ins. And that seems really backwards to me for what we should, what would be, not just from a health point of view, like we'll talk about that in a second. And first, actually, let's lead with that. I want to lead on this. If you think you might have a problem, look at it. Like look into that when it comes to eating, when it comes to any kind of, issues around weight, issues around food, issues around the bike. If it feels like it's starting to impact your life and in some sort of a negative way, specifically with body dysmorphia, eating disorders, etc., like seek help. The first thing with a problem, if there ever is one, is figuring out that you have one and admitting that there is one. So like, I want to lead with that. On the other hand, side of that, like there is some personal responsibility around all that. And I don't want to push that too much toward the community or toward Zwift. There is the health aspect. That's one thing. But I want to like table that and say, yes, people like go and if you're unable to handle this situation well, that's a personal problem and go deal with that personal problem. And we want to throw that support out there as much as we possibly can. It's been around me in my own life in multiple different instances. 100% agree on that front. But I don't think that's a Zwift problem. Like that exists across all sports in some sort of a way. Anna, let's speak to that just real quickly before we move on.
Yeah. I mean, I had massive disordered eating when I was racing in triathlon, like very bad. And I would say, I mean, I just wrote an article for our local club, on Red S, and we've had Jen Reel on the show talking about that. And I said the first port of call is if you have a coach, you need to be talking to your coach. Depending on what age you are, you probably want to be talking to your parents or a close friend, or but it is a personal mindset as well that I had to shift, that low weight did not equal strong. But I want to give an example from like Ironman. You turn up at Ironman World Champs, age group or professional, the first thing you do when you turn up in transition is stand on a scale. Now, the reason they do that is because they need to know if you have hyponatremia, so you get weighed at the end. So if you've gained weight during the race, I think this is a primary reason they do it. If you gain weight during the race, you probably have a problem there where you're holding fluid and you need to pretty much go straight to the hospital to get that sorted. So that was a safety point of view. I don't know if they still do that, but 5 years ago when I was doing it, first thing you do when you walk in, you get weighed. So is that an awesome thing to start your day when you're racing at a world championship? No, no one likes getting weighed. I just ended up not looking at the scale because I just was like, I don't want to know. I'm here. I can't change anything. Let's just go race. But the same thing with Zwift. I don't really have a problem with weigh-ins. What I do have a problem with is the time period. I'm not a huge fan of the 2 hours. For me, most of the Grand Prix races for me were at like 6 a.m. So I'm weighing in at 5 a.m, which is pretty ideal, to be honest. You wake up, you go weigh yourself. But I had teammates who were weighing in at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 6 p.m. And I just don't think that that's ideal for those races because all day, like whether you want to or not, you might be in like a restricted eating mindset, knowing you've got to stand on a scale, or you might not drink enough or be prepared. So I think maybe just changing it to like, it's a 24-hour thing and you just weigh in the morning of the race. Now, will people do random things like try and drop weight from, I don't know, doing a session and sweating out or starve themselves or things like that? Well, probably because people do that all the time in every sport if they've got a really bad association of food and weight and performance. Changing any times of weigh-ins is not going to change personal people's mindsets on that. And that's my opinion. So you could make it any time and people will find ways to do some crazy shit to make their weight low. So I don't know. That's my kind of thoughts on it.
Yeah, and so again, I want to now isolation is another thing that comes in with esport, right? A little bit. There is a little bit of isolation that can happen, and so there may be a couple of factors here that might add to that side of things that you just talked about on the personal responsibility side of things. And so, but yes, I think you're 100% right there that when it comes down to it, though, that's a personal responsibility. Now, for fairness and what we ought to be doing in order to create the right environment for the athletes to have their best performance on the day, all other sports I know of that have a weigh-in, it's a 24-hour period. That the UFC, wrestling, my daughter's in wrestling, like now she weighs in right before, and I don't agree with that actually. I think that they should be weighing in the 24 hours or so. Like you make weight. We see this. We have entire events in some of our biggest not esport, but biggest sporting events in the world where the weigh-in is a thing. Like everyone shows up the day before and you make weight. And because everyone has the same opportunity with making whatever weight that they need to, at least it's in a healthier standpoint where they have this period that they can like make their weight, weigh in at that 24-hour mark or whatever it might be, and then eat enough to be on the bike at a weight at like a loaded up, ready to go. And for me, I want to see those athletes perform as best they possibly can. And I mean, here's the thing, man. Super League last week, the triathlon series. If you guys don't know what Super League is, it's essentially an indoor triathlon competition where they race back to back to back to back. Lionel Sanders was on his Instagram, literally in a sweat cave, making weight for right before the Super League. And I was like, he had to weigh in within this silly period. That's just an engineer's mindset that wants perfection for what's actually on the bike. That doesn't have anything to do with fairness, though. Because if everyone had the same opportunity for the weigh-in, the fairness is everyone had the same opportunity. The fairness is not the exactness of what the athlete weighs on the bike. It's that they are able to make that weight. From there, you've got whatever resources that you have available to you to race your bike. I don't care if they weigh more or less when they get on the bike. That just means actually, I would actually argue that means they trained better to be able to load more resources into their body. Actually, because if you've trained really well, you can load massive amounts of resources compared to somebody else.
I do just want to bring in, because I'm not sure the comment back. Chris has come in saying mental illness isn't a personal choice. Absolutely not. So I'm not sure where that's coming from. But I think what I'm saying here is like, if there's a mental illness associated with weigh-ins or food, I'm not sure where the responsibility lies on is that Zwift. I mean, look at cyclists too. There's a lot of disordered eating in real life cycling area. Is that up to the UCI or event organizers? In my mind, I think, in all honesty, coming from a personal experience with this, the first port of call for me was talking to my family, and then it was talking to my coach. And from there, it was coming out with an action plan. So I didn't rely on Ironman, who ran the events and did all of that, to have something in place to help me. I made sure that I had people around me in my local sphere who could help me and work through that. So I think it's not saying it's a personal choice, but I think that the responsibility comes down to the friends, family, close network around that athlete. And if they're not talking about it, like, I'm not sure how good the coach is if they're not recognizing that, or the local club, or the people who are seeing them. I mean, like I said, I write articles for our local club, and I'm there to talk to all the young girls who, I'm like, I'll be at these events and I'll be here. If you ever want to chat about it, if you don't feel comfortable talking to your coach or your family, I'm a sort of person here that you can default to and chat to, and I can talk and help. But I'm not sure where the unfortunate reality is racing on Zwift, weight impacts performance. There's watts per kg. You go up a hill faster when you weigh less. And I don't know if there's an argument there to have no weigh-ins, but I personally wouldn't like that as a racer, because that is the easiest way to cheat on Zwift, is put in the wrong weight. And you have to have evidence that what you weigh in real life is what your game weight is. That's just the unfortunate reality of cycling on Zwift. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying here is if there's a triggering element of those weigh-ins, I mean, you can talk to your team manager. I know Jen's done a whole lot of good work with us on Saris, and Jackie Godby's been like a very, very valuable member of the team for that, because she is not a lightweight rider, but geez, she is a strong rider. And that has gone on in my head a little bit, where I look at Jackie and go, she came third at Worlds. I mean, she weighs probably 20 kg more than me. So when I look at the scale before a weigh-in, I'm like, I weigh, because for females, your weight fluctuates, 1 to 2 kg, depending on what stage of your cycle you're at. If I go on, I'm like 2 kg heavier, I'm like, oh shit, maybe I've got like more power today. I mean, look at Jackie. Like, she's monstering it and she's awesome. So she's been a great sort of role model in our little community. Yeah, so I don't know.
I think I like, as far as responsibility when it comes to a community, when it comes to a place where there is governance in sport, I think a statement and awareness is as far as the responsibility goes. Like, really, when it comes to the platform and the community, that like, hey, in these spaces, like, if something's going on here, like, even in, like, we were just looking at the release for the Zwift Grand Prix finals, right? Like, just awareness to the teams, that team managers maybe are just making statements to their athletes. You know what I mean? I could see something like that. I could see, like, at least having awareness. Beyond that, I would say, like, hey, if I have a drinking problem and I keep on going to the bar, like, there's nothing wrong with bars. But if I have a drinking problem and I keep going to the bar, that's my fault. Like, I'm not mad at the bars. You know what I mean? Like, we're not sitting here going, what the heck, the community is providing bars. It's like, well, I have a drinking problem and I need to recognize that I have a drinking problem. And I get the not choice thing. I get powerlessness. I get all of that, you guys. Like, there's history in my family around all that stuff. Like, 100%. But at the same time, like, there's a personal responsibility piece here that people need to take up too. So I just don't agree with the pitchforks toward the platform kind of thing, but we should have awareness that problems could arise, and then just say something about that, like we're doing right here. Now, that couching that, the weigh-in thing, 24 hours, I'm gonna stake right there. I'm putting my flag in and saying it should, like, this idea that you need to weigh. And I'm seeing chat come in, and it looks like this is a conversation. I don't know. I'd like to almost, like, at some point, like, really have like a powwow, like a bigger powwow about this, about like what people think. Because some people are like, you should weigh what you weigh on the bike. And I'm like, well, I guess, man, but like, what weight? Like, when? So then we have to be weighed in. Like, we have to weigh ourselves when we get on the bike every single time. And like, we just have like scales on the bike itself. I guess that could work, having scales on the bike, but I think that almost makes it worse. But and then people can manipulate that, and that's a whole nother thing where you can manipulate that.
I think it's one of those not simple answers, because there's every which way you do it has pros and cons. So I mean, I think I don't want to delay too long before we get Sai on. It's a big topic that deserves. I mean, this is a chat we had right now, but it's not like the end of the chat.
The end of the chat at all. Keep it going. Bring us, like, take us in social media, chat with us in DMs. I want to hear, because people are really passionate about this, and I love that. Like, that's awesome. Yeah. It's really cool to see, actually. I had a weight fluctuation of, I think it was 8 pounds this week. 8 pounds. So, yeah.
Big time.
That's just glycogen and water, though. Like, glycogen and water. So, anyways. All right. Next up, a little bit of a, that was like kind of an upper, because I was really excited about 24-hour weigh-ins, but also kind of a like, things are serious here. All right. On a lighter note, extra power-ups are suddenly discovered in Watopia. You can go out and find extra power-ups right now in Watopia if you want to. Actually, so I thought it was a bug. My Zwift Insider was wondering if it was a bug. It's not a bug. Tour of Watopia has extra power-ups, and those power-ups are now available in the wide world of Watopia. Now, heads up to all event organizers, if you don't want those power-ups in your events, maybe don't schedule your events on Watopia right now, because it sounds like they're going to be in the game. And this was like an Easter egg, it seems like. What do you think about this, Anna?
So I'm kind of still confused. So is it, okay, here about what is it? There are more banners, so you're getting more power-ups, or is it when you go through a banner, you get all the power-ups instead of the typical defaults? Or are there just random places you get a power-up?
Hidden grant locations, Eric Slaney thought were just in Tour of Watopia, but it sounds like they're in play for all activities, bug or feature. Definitely not a bug, is what we're told. So,
okay. So you ride through somewhere there, and you just get it. So it's like a little treasure hunt.
Yes. Essentially, it's like a little treasure hunt that you're getting extra power-ups that are in Watopia. So there are extra places that you are getting feathers, arrows, and draft, it looks like. There's a little interesting. It looks like there's a few on the volcano. It looks like there's one on the KOM reverse on Hilly Watopia, one on Ocean Boulevard, one over on Fuego Flats, two on Fuego Flats, one on the Alp, and a whole bunch on the Alp to Zwift, actually. So, go check that out. I just ruined the Easter egg completely, but I think Zwift Insider's going to ruin it too real soon.
There goes my treasure hunt. I'll just go to all those places now.
But event organizers, shout out, event organizers. Let your event organizers know. Either there's going to be like some sort of special way of making sure your event doesn't have them, or you just got, or get away from Watopia, because there's extra power-ups in Watopia right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually think the one, I don't know if Eric, I think he might have put it in the article on it. I think the one on the Alp has always been there, because every time I've gone up the Alp, there's a section where you go into a tunnel and there's like a countdown to a power-up. You can see it on your mini-map, and then you just get a power-up in this random tunnel. So I think that's been there for a long time.
Where is this?
On the Alp, when you go up the Alp.
Okay, on the tunnel. Yeah, there's two of them on Alp to Zwift. And they're at that little ride-on thing. At the little ride-on thing, I think is where you get, okay. I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Okay, got it. All right.
When we race up the Alp next week, I'll drop one there and feather past you.
You'll show me exactly. I'll show you exactly where that power-up is, Nathan.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
All right, well, let's go ahead and bring in our awesome guest, Sai Bradley. He's the man for all things route. We're going to talk about route reveals. This is the guy, because he talks every route when it comes to the ZRL, and has been doing this. Sai, welcome to the program. I want to know, how long have you been doing these looking at the routes for ZRL? And is that where it started? That's what I want to ask first of all. For those that don't know Sai, he's got an awesome YouTube channel. That's kind of how he became this Zwift aficionado through this YouTube channel of checking out the ZRL routes that are coming for the next week and giving you all the tips and tricks for it. But when did that start for you, Sai?
I mean, essentially, good evening or good morning, everyone. But yeah, it started because I was really frustrated that I wasn't getting the results I wanted at the start. So I just started doing my own recons and then, just following other people on YouTube and watching theirs and writing notes myself just so I could try and actually get a result at some point in a race. And then I think the last two races of the first ZRL season, I sort of attempted to put a couple of YouTube videos together. And then, yeah, since then, I think I've pretty much done every race. So I think that first season was 8 races. So the first 6 races I didn't do at that point. But yeah, we were also in a heated battle with Team NL at that point as well. So we just wanted to make sure as a team we could beat Team NL. So back in the day that was.
So go ahead, Anna.
We've got playoffs coming up next week for the following 3 weeks. We've got semi-final 1, semi-final 2, and then final, which is a TTT, controversially. Let's go through them. Well, first, give me your general impression of the playoffs format, and then we'll start with the first race next week, City in the Skur, which has a slightly different format, which I'm quite excited about.
Yeah, I like these playoffs because every team and everyone can get involved if they want to. The way that they've split it up, that we're battling for, I think it's the Cup, the Shield, the Bowl, and the Plate, if I remember rightly. Everyone who's raced the RL, whether you're the top half of the table or the bottom half of the table when you finish the season, you've got something to race for this time. Of course, yes, we've got those 4 things that we're fighting for, but let's be honest, what we really want is the ZRL helmet that we've had in previous years, which I do not have in my garage yet. I don't know if either of you two have got that in your garage
Sai,
yet.
I do. I've got it.
Well, I know Chris Rank was in
I think
chat.
I'm supposed to. I think I'm actually supposed to and don't.
You either do or you don't, Nathan.
Oh, I don't. But okay,
you know. You know if you know.
Well, I made a comment on my video because every time I speak to Chris Frank, he reminds me, and I said in the video he had 1. He messaged me today and told me actually he's got 3. So all I want is 1. I just want 1. That's all. But yeah, so that's what we're racing for. But essentially, yes, it's like continental finals, I guess. But everyone can be involved this time. The top half of the table, I think it's the Cup that you're fighting for. The bottom half of the table after the first 2 semi-finals. Those groups then split essentially, and then you're basically fighting it out amongst other equivalent riders essentially. So like EMEA W, for example, I'm A2, so we're racing A2 North, South, Central, West. We'll all go into that first block. After the first 2 races, the top half of the table will then go on to fight, in that final against the rest of the top half and so on. So I think I like the format. I like the courses. I like the fact we're in Scotland, the challenging courses. I mean, I know you mentioned the Muckle Yin, which I think would have been an interesting choice for the final rather than a TTT, but it is what it is. And I think I said last time, I'm becoming to love team time trials on the more technical courses that are not just reliant on pure power. And I am going to refer back to a video, actually, I think Nathan did. I can't remember if it was the start of this season, Nathan, or the end of last season, but it was you narrated your own team time trial performance with your team, with the OMG team. And it was the best team time trial video I've seen. Yeah, it was a calm down moment. But if you look at some of the things he's talking about, I don't think I need to do another science of team time trial video. If you've not seen it yet, go and check that video out because the techniques, the nuances that you need to understand on a technical course, Nathan berates the rest of his team for in that video. So go and check it out. And himself at times, I'll have to say.
I do. Yeah, if I make the mistake, I definitely am on myself, but I'm definitely on my team.
The team room was like.
You said, this like quick little bunny trail. You want to see some of the, maybe I'll make a video from we won the espresso, but man, it was not pretty. Like we hadn't TTT'd together in months, and we were angry at each other like so many times. People were like, essentially the DS was like at least 5 times. Everyone, calm down. It's okay. Reset. Oh my god! Like I mean, it was like seriously rage.
No.
But somehow we pulled it off. It was so disorganized our last team, but we made it happen. Anyways, all right. Speaking of, though, TTT, that's last. Let's go into the first event. First event, we're going to go through each one of them. What is up with this? City and the Sker, 45-minute duration, not distance. I think this is the first time we've ever seen this in a ZRL event.
Yeah, no, wait.
Yeah,
they do it in the duathlons because I've been doing it in the duathlons for
Sorry,
years.
sorry, okay.
So that's a duathlon, but that's quite different because you're on a TT bike and you're just TTing. I have not seen it in a scratch race, but Sai, you can probably correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're exactly right. They have been using this format in the duathlon, but of course there's no draft there, and I think people were assuming this time that there'd be no draft in this event. There is draft, and all the normal points places for FAL and FTS are in play. So this really makes this an interesting race. So not only have you got to think about how far you can get your teammates, and you've got to remember that it is a team event. So you can't just, effectively, do you want to send one rider off the front? Because if another team's got 2 or 3 riders also off the front with you getting the most distance, then you're still in a no-win position. So there's a lot to think about here. I think this is going to be one of those fight for the points as normal, and then the final minute, who's got the best 1-minute power to get further up the road, or, depending where we are on the route. The other complication is, again, dependent on where you are in that final few minutes. Are you going to cross one of those points banners to pick up additional FAL points? It's unlikely 45 minutes into the race that you'll get any FTS, but there's a chance you could pick up additional FAL points. Essentially with the other riders
let's
not
lay
getting
this
them.
out. Okay, so we said 45-minute duration. Just so everybody knows, what is happening here is you are able to get extra points for the distance you travel past the final banner in that 45 final banner, which might not actually be the final banner because you could go down the other side of that sker, you go down the other side of the final climb it back up and hit the banner again and get more points again. So I think, okay, for me, this whole duration idea and being able to put as much effort into getting more points as you want to, taking that risk, trying to break your opponents for more points they might not be able to get. This is an awesome format to me. Maybe you got to find the right course. Like this is being the first time doing it, putting it in the masses. Okay, might be at least amongst a scratch race where there's drafting. It is the first time doing it. So, but I really like this because there is a serious carrot to chase with absolute fairness in those carrots to chase. And it's very well defined. That's one of the main pushbacks, about figuring out how do you get points, where are they at, being able to identify it really well with FL, FTS. This is just super well defined, and this makes it so that racers can go.
This for me
we don't want
is
to talk about segmental battle points, right? But
yeah,
but you're exactly right. This is
but to be honest,
clear.
This has been their answer to segment battle points, which didn't work. But this is kind of finding that great mix as well of a new format. People who are further back in the pack have something to fight for because they just have to get 100 meters ahead of the person they're with, and that's some extra
100%.
points. Now, I know from having done this in the duathlon, the motivation of looking at the riders on your leaderboard on the right-hand side and counting up 100 meters is huge. So I just think the motivation to be in a break, and if you make a break to stay away, is massive because you look and you go, we're 200 meters ahead, we're 300 meters ahead, go, 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 go. And I think, I look at the anvil being in play. I mean, I'm thinking everyone save their anvil and just team anvil it on a downhill and do a breakaway.
That anvil, if you were going for an extra FAL, and you had anvils on the downhill on the other side, oh man, risky, but if you're able to pull it off within a certain amount, you get the times right, okay, and if you have a DS saying, hey, you climb it about this, it's possible. Talk about a cool situation.
Yeah, it's a challenging course anyway, and I mentioned that about the anvil in my recon. I think if you if you get a cloud of anvils or a bunch of anvils going off the front on that descent, we've seen it. It's pretty powerful adding that 50% weight, and you haven't got one, that could change your race, essentially. Bike choice is also an interesting one on this one as well, because, of course, the gravel bike is the fastest on the route. As much as my team want me to stay quiet about that, this has also been the course for stage 4 of Z Racing. So I think a lot of people have raced this in the last couple of weeks anyway. I think Z Racing has been 1 lap. So with the A's, I think I did a Z race yesterday or day before, and it's about 15 minutes for a single lap, there or thereabouts. So we're going to be looking three laps, I guess, 3 and a bit laps for the A's. But I think it's going to be all over the road. I think there are going to be groups everywhere on this. And again, it'll be about bike choice, it'll be about power-ups and the timing of those power-ups. And as you said, Anna, I think if the right team or the right group get off the front, it just got to keep pushing this time. Just keep going, keep driving that gap as much as possible. And I think it's going to make for a very interesting, very different race. So yeah, I'm really happy.
You think everyone's going to pick gravel? You think everyone's going to pick gravel side?
I don't think everyone will. No, I've already had loads of messages saying, no, I'm sticking with Tron. That's what I'm going for. I'm sticking with the all-rounder.
You think that's just fear? Or do you think, what do you think? Are you going for gravel? That's the big question. If you think it's just fear, it's gravel.
I'm going for the specialized crooks every day on this course, without doubt. Yeah. It's the longest climb, 1,600 meters is the gravel side. That's where the splits are going to come. I want to make sure when I get to the top of that climb on the right side of the split, I think I can hang on down the other side. Basically it's a kilometer down, a kilometer back up on the tarmac, but you've then got 3 kilometers on dirt as you descend and ascend the other side. So I honestly think the gravel bike is the right choice, no matter what category, because there's been some courses historically where we've said, okay, gravel bike or a bike change is the right choice if you're a C or a D. This time, I think, honestly, it's the right choice for everybody, unless you get a whole team that think differently and they can hang on, get the anvils and descend off the other side and create that gap, but I just don't see it.
Yeah. I agree as well, Sai. I think as well with the power-ups in play, it suits you going with a gravel bike, because if you cross at the top, you've got a 66.6% chance you're going to have a feather or an anvil. And then if you have the anvil, you can drop it and stick with the roadies. And if you've got the feather, you can drop it on the way back up and stick with the roadies. So I think the risk is lower than having that road bike on that longer gravel climb. I think if the climbs were reversed, if the short one was gravel and the long one was road, I think that would make an interesting discussion on bike choice. But I think, I totally agree with you. I went on the gravel bike and tested it with a friend, and she was on a Tron. And honestly, it was so easy to get ahead of her. So I'm 100% sold on the gravel.
Amy Mundus coming in saying, don't forget your wheels. Don't forget your wheels.
Yes.
Don't forget your wheels. Okay. Gravel wheels. With the right gravel.
K-Dex gravel wheels.
There we go. Okay. Just wanted to make sure we throw that in there too. So everybody,
also,
gravel.
This course as well, you're talking about the secret power-up places. I had to watch my own recon video back several times. So I'm thinking, where did I pick up that power-up before we'd even got onto the course? And basically, as you leave the pens and you sort of take a right, and I think maybe you go through a tunnel, I can't remember, but as you sort of head towards the Rolling Highlands, there's a non-existent banner where you pick a power-up there as well. So you should and will get a power-up.
It's the world's power-up. Unless they remove it, it's the same one. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, so you should pick a power-up before you take that first ascent of that gravel side as well. So, again, you get the feather and your gravel bike and you punch it up that first climb. You're on the wrong side. That could be it.
Question I had for you, Sai, is I watched your recon where you just did one lap of this course, right? And I looked at the time. I was like, that was a touch under 15 minutes, I thought. So, what? We're looking at, you could be going up 6 climbs in this course?
Yep. Yeah, it's a lot of power-ups as well, though, to help you do it.
But, geez, okay, that's because they're full, 2 to 4 minute efforts going up there. This is, I wouldn't underestimate how tough this is actually going to be. That's kind of like a roller coaster Richmond kind of a situation.
Yeah, it's basically like doing the cobbled climb 6 times, I guess, and and you're fighting for points. You're not just climbing, but you're fighting for those points as well. So every one of these is going to be pushed. It's going to be super attritional. But I actually think the next course as well is also going to be play out very very
Okay.
similar with the amount
I
of
do want
points
to,
you've got there.
yeah. I do want to give a little story on this. We'll go into race 2. Is Jackie
Glasgow
Godby
crit course.
messaged our group.
Glasgow crit course, just so everybody knows, race number
Glasgow
2.
crit course. So I'll talk about a little Glasgow crit course, 10 laps. Jackie came straight into our chat and was like, "Are you for?" So she'd just done Worlds. "Are you for real? We will be sprinting 20 times for this race." And I was like, I think the answer is yes. And she's like, I don't know. So I'm looking and I'm like, it actually looks like it's going to be sprinting 21 times from what I can see there.
Yeah, it's 10 laps, and you've got the Clyde kicker and the champion sprint. So it's a final. It's a final. It should be tough. It should be a challenge. All categories are doing the same as well this time. There's no split between A, B, and C, Ds on this one. So, oh my, these are courses and layouts worthy of a final, I would say. But yeah, this is a challenging course. Of course, we've seen it quite a bit with the esports worlds as well. And some of the events in the run up to that. I know this was also part of the Z Racing series, so a lot of people have done that. But I think that was 5 laps, if I remember right, with the Z Racing series.
Yeah, this is 10.
Yeah,
oh my God,
absolutely. So it's like 330 meters of climbing.
Oh.
So I mean, downtown Dolphin, which is 8 meters of climbing per lap, but that climb starts to kick in after 10 or 15 laps. This one absolutely is going to kick in.
I think,
so you look at this, you compare City and the Sker, you do 3 laps of that. That's just over 300 meters of climbing. This is 331 meters. So you're essentially doing more climbing than you have done in race 1 going up 2 climbs.
But you're doing it at 10 watts per kilogram each time.
Yeah.
Are you? On the 10th lap? I don't know. Sai, what can racers do here? What tactics can you have? You can't seriously sprint full noise 20 times, right?
I thought your husband was a mountain biker.
Yeah, I don't know. Is this a possibility?
I mean, the other thing about this course is, you leave that pen and basically you're looking at the first champion sprint banner. As soon as you leave that pen, it's one straight line straight towards that banner, and it comes in the first 200 meters.
Oh my God! So that one counts.
Yeah,
that one counts.
Yeah,
oh my God!
Yeah, absolutely.
Right from
I'm sure
goal.
You go.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, absolutely. So because the start banner for that sprint is there's no turn, so you're straight into it. 200 meters. So what was the Zwift Grand Prix where we had that 500 meter sprint off in Watopia? One of the early Grand Prix rounds was that 500 meter sprint, wasn't it? This is basically going to be the same. This is going to be a super aggressive start.
Wow. Insane. And then right from the get-go, you have a little bit of a break, but then the right hand into the right hand, and then essentially you're on the climb. Immediately, and setting up for the first sprint point. I think that, so my take from racing this course and watching what happened in Worlds, it's just going to blow up. It's just going to completely blow up. Usually everything comes back together in a crit race like this on downtown Dolphin or something that's in Crit City, but this is a completely different situation, and I think that there's going to be bodies everywhere.
Yep, agreed. I think it was Sprinter's Paradise is another one of those courses where just the relentless nature of the sprint after sprint, it's a flat course, but you still see the group break down. This is absolutely going to happen here, and it's like you say. I think the riders are going to be lapped. I think you're going to see groups of riders lapped on this course in some categories, because it's just going to be relentless. But you're going to have to think about your team.
Aaron Bleakley comes in and says, 21 sprints? Nah, I'm going to take off like the Danish guy. Forget this. So take a note out of the World Champions book and just see you later. Gosh. Just try and get away or make a break happen, because that's way too many sprints to be handling, at least for Bleakley, he says.
Well, Aaron's in training for a world hour record, if I remember rightly. So if anyone can do it, then I guess Aaron Bleakley is the man, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's I don't know. I look at this. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this one. And I know the sprinter's paradise. I hit that first sprint and my legs felt so heavy. And then the thought of having to do only 7 more. In this case, you do the first one, you feel heavy. 19 more to go. 18 more to go. I mean, it's
but we've got to be
brutal.
grateful. There's no burrito. Let's be grateful for that. So I think the power ups on this one are the power 3. So it's feather aero draft, I guess, will be the 3 power ups on this one. So
Wait, okay,
quick.
Have we seen a burrito anywhere since Worlds? I mean, I think something happened in the community, and suddenly everyone was like, "Yeah, okay, maybe we're just done with burritos." Everyone's like, "Forget this power up."
Yeah, full of burritos.
Gosh, I had way too many to eat. Well, okay, next up is Rolling Highlands, TTT. And as I'm looking at this and thinking in the back of my head about this course and the feeling of this course, if you're going to have a TTT course that's a World Championship course, with the way the climbs happen on the Rolling Highlands and the way that the course comes at you, I just feel like this is it's not a flat course, but I really, really like this course, though, for a TTT, though. I actually really like it.
Yeah, it's gonna rely on the skill, as I've said before, and the craft of the team, and not just the wattage monsters and the powerhouses dominating as they do on the flat courses. Sometimes we've had, I can't remember how many times we've had London Flat or London Flat East or the Great East Flat, and we had the one in France as well, RGV this time, which are rolling, but not challenging and not the most exciting of routes to visually as you go round, of course. Whereas this, for me, it's a proper test of a team, as it should be for the grand final. Where the lighter riders like myself, I don't want to get onto that weight subject again, but we have a chance to make a difference if we get the craft and the timing right on this course as well, and we take on the Corkscrew Castle climb. You've got the Bray, but it's not just about those two, because it's constantly rolling, as we know, this course. So I think this is a good choice for a final as a team time. Whether it should be a time trial, debatable. Maybe the Muckle Yin as a points race with so many opportunities there. But it is what it is. It will be a great test. 3 laps as well, though. So it's 32K on what's this? I guess that's also going to be 300 meters or so, maybe just short of 300 meters of climbing. So
200, again, high 200s, I think. Yeah. 200s real quick. So
260 meters of climbing. Yeah, I just I did want to cut in here and say, Aaron's in chat. He DS'd us when we did the World Cup TTT last week. And I've got to say that I think what is going to be so important is a strategy here of where you use your riders, because I think, haven't been doing so well at that. In 2024 has come back each time in the last 5K of the race and beaten us. And I think that is coming down. And it was when I mentioned Aaron, because we were doing this TTT, and I felt like I was taking so many turns in the first 2/3 of the race. I was like, this, in my head, maybe in my stream, I can't remember, but I'm like, why am I taking so many turns? Why is that person who I know has high power sitting at the back? And then honestly, in the last third of the race, he's like, okay, you two, it's your turn to shine. I was like, oh, wow, that was an awesome turn. And Aaron's like, yeah, why did you think we were saving her legs? I was like, okay, that was a good strategy, because now we have these power riders on the flat just drilling it to the finish. So I think coming up with a strategy that suits this course will be so important.
It's a really good point, actually. I just, on this course, real quickly, from my intuition about that strategy, and not just strategy you come in, but the ability, I think it's going to expose a lot of ability without being ridiculous, though. Okay, so like if you were going to go and do a team time trial in like Yorkshire, it's just ridiculous. Like there's just too much climbing. It's just there's wall after wall after wall, and it doesn't make any sense. Whereas the rolling nature of this makes it so that you really do need to be able to work with the pack dynamics. You really need to be able to work as a team to make sure that the speed is ruling the day of how you're doing your time trial, that you're paying attention to where you gain speed in the right ways, how you're going to use your power in the right ways, the timings of those. And the climbs are not that long. They're very short. So sure, a climber or somebody who can make something happen on the climb is definitely going to be essential, but it isn't going to be where like, oh, we're climbing, sit in forever. It's kind of like pop up over the top. Okay, where's the roll through correctly, and finding that right timing over the top of that climb. Now get back into time trial mode, get back into rolling through correctly, and finding that rhythm within the team of how you're producing power and speed. I just think this Rolling Highlands is such a great course. Actually, I just want to second that as a finals to show who is the time trial team really.
Yeah, and I think this is part of the great evolution I think that we've seen on Zwift, but also with the community. A good DS can make such a difference in a team time trial. And I'm just thinking about my own history with the team time trial in ZRL and some Thursdays, and I've recently done some team time trials with the Herd as well. Some of their guys on a Thursday. So I say I am getting into this, but it's evolved from just taking those 20, 30, 40 second pulls. Everyone does the same. So then we started to get a bit more into the power and utilizing, the weighted riders in particular time. Then we started talking about the roll through and all these different things. So the evolution just continues. And, we've seen the teams at the top, we've seen the battles between Nathan's team and Saris, for example, on a Thursday night, the margins are getting closer and closer. And it comes down to those details and the knowledge which make the difference, especially on a course like this. So if Aaron Bleakley is available, actually, I'd like to try and shout him in to come and DS our team on the Tuesday, because as I said, I really want one of those helmets this time. So I'm in the battle this time myself. We're going to fight for it.
Are you going to be live streaming all your races, Sai? I want to see this coming down to the last 5 seconds of the TTT in round 3. That'll just be awesome.
Yes, I am going to live stream. You know what? I think last time I came on, I said I was going to Twitch stream all my training sessions and YouTube stream all my races. And I, at the start of this new training program that I've been doing with Alex Coe, I was failing more than I was succeeding. So I stopped streaming my sessions altogether. But I'm on top of them now. I seem to be getting somewhere, and all the numbers are red on Zwift Power, so things have definitely progressed. So I'm going to start streaming everything again. So, but definitely these finals for sure.
Streaming the failures is far more entertaining than streaming the success, right?
Yeah, but no one wants to see the tears. Or do you? I don't know.
Everyone wants to see the tears.
They don't want to see the tears. We just don't want to see the tears. When we're just like, oh, really? You're watching me cry on
So
stream.
just don't rewatch my own streams. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you want to check out all things Zwift Racing League, head on over to WTRL.racing. If you want to check out Sai Bradley's recons, you can just find it real easy. It's just Sai Bradley on YouTube. And you've also been doing some Instagram posts, I've noticed, which is pretty awesome to see. Little reels here and there about what's going on with the recons. So definitely go check out Sai. He's doing an amazing job in the community. I was seeing during the broadcast here, if Sai says it's a gravel bike, it's a gravel bike. So it looks like you got a pretty good following about trusting what you're having to say out there, Sai.
Awesome. Yeah, great community, guys. And thank you once again for having me on the show.
Of course. All right. Well, thanks, Sai. Always great to have him on. And Anna, this looks to be, after that conversation there, one of the better finals. Like, there's been lots of different conversations around how great the finals would be, this and that, and kind of in the past. Here's my final take is like, it just felt like in the past a remake of what we had already done, and it's kind of like, okay, we're doing this again, and this, honestly, I hadn't done a whole lot of research, just a little bit, and as we dived into this, I was like, I'm actually genuinely excited about this finals. Like, This is a little different, but at the same time really shows off what people can do.
Yeah, I think that 45-minute option for the first race has kind of been what's changed it for me mentally. Because I'm not going to lie, I was sort of like, we're probably not going to be able to field a full team because there's rules that you have to have a rider who's ridden for three races, and like it's a 6-rider team. We only have 8 riders, so we one rider did 2, so she can't ride, and then Jackie can't race any of them because of work. So we probably won't have full teams. So I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. But then when I saw that 45-minute one, I was like, I actually want to try something new, and that looks really fun. So we probably will have 4 or 5 women in the team, which is fine. We'll get really hurt by that, and we probably won't do very well. But I do just want to try out those courses and give it a go. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun.
What would we do without Riot? I don't know what we would do without Riot. I mean, come on, isn't it in America's East? Oh,
I know. I did see. Before we get into the close of our show, I did see a comment put on the Zwift Racing League Facebook page, because they've released, the dates for next year, like September and then November. It's the same as what they did this year, basically. And I do kind of see what the person is saying a little bit. I think I don't know what it is. Like, I love ZRL, but when I got into the last round we just had, like, I was just a bit like fatigued with it, I think. And I don't know if it's because there were only 2-week breaks in between each one, or 2 to 3 weeks, or what it was. Or maybe it's just sort of because we didn't have segment battle points, there wasn't that new kind of shiny thing to try out. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of agreed with the person's sentiment there a little bit, of sort of maybe the round formulation needs to change. But I know when they first started, they had like 2 8-week rounds where you did 8 weeks, but then there was like a month in between, and then another 8-week round. So I don't know. I'm keen for the community's feel on it, because it's a racing league that's been going for what, like 3-4 years now. Yeah, I don't know. It was just something to throw out there. It's more of a community feedback thing.
I'd have to agree with you there on the number. Like, now you got to look at the numbers and how much participation and all that. And there's that's going to be an incentive for creating more events, to make sure that there's participation and engagement in the platform. So that's one thing, right? From the big Z WTRL perspective. At the same time, I remember racing Wisconsin Off-Road Series, and when there was 12 races, it was like, oh, okay, we got to go do 2 more in order to make a series. And it was just like, and now we've gone to like 8 or 9 races locally here during it, and I'm like, this feels better. There's something besides my Wisconsin Off-Road Series in my life, right? Like, there's other things going on, and like, I do have to agree, like, I didn't race the last season of Zwift Racing League because I had to focus on base training too, and so the timing there, and so it's a tough one. I think I'd agree with you, maybe, that think about, is there burnout? How can we have quality over quantity? And that I think in general, quality is going to keep people coming back, and maybe creating more of a training focus to train for your ZRL, and splitting them up a little bit more to really educate people on racing, and create this solid season for the esport in a way that doesn't just feel like races are just coming at you constantly in the ZRL.
Yeah. Because it was a good point. Because the person made a suggestion that maybe even a series, so you have 6 weeks in kind of end of the year, 6 weeks kind of near the beginning of the year. I mean, maybe 6 weeks in like May time. And then I know a few people are like, but that's IRL race season. But like, from what you're saying there, if you're taking IRL race season seriously, you're doing base work at the moment. So throwing in races doesn't work. Whereas if you're in an IRL race season, like, you look at what Campenarts did, he went and did World Champ Zwift, and then went and raced, I can't remember which race it was, one of the classics. I would have thought, if you're in race season, chucking in like a 45-minute hard effort on a weekday actually kind of suits quite well with IRL.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm racing now a little bit. I'm using KISS on Sunday. I'm throwing things in the middle now, whereas during ZRL I couldn't, because it was time when I needed to be doing base. I could not be doing that at all. It's wasted effort. And so I 100% agree with that. And I don't know about May. May's getting pretty late. That's a tough one. But I'd agree, like, maybe a little bit later, there's going to be a whole lot of, like, I don't know, maybe we get some numbers on that, and maybe we could have a conversation with Zwift directly about all that, more about the ZRL, or have Martin on again. But yeah, definitely something to think about there as we finish out the ZRL season. All right, well, the best part of the whole show, let's go ahead and take a look at it. Rate us from 1 to 10 in the chat. what is the picks this week for the fashion show?
So I picked the jersey, the Anna van der Breggen jersey, just because I was watching SD Works completely dominate over some of the races over last weekend out in the classics. But it made me think of Anna van der Breggen. I love her kit. And I actually just Googled, does Anna van der Breggen have a kit on Zwift? Yes, this is what popped up. Now, I missed it. I don't know. I must have been in like newborn Babyland. And I'm really gutted that I missed this because it's an awesome kit. I do want to shout out to, I put this on Instagram the day before the show to get like the votes. And it's really good because mostly Zwifters come in and they're like 7, 8 or 3 or something. Then I get just like my friends who don't even ride a bike or have no idea what Zwift is, and they will rate this. And I don't know if they get the rating. Like, so my friend rated it 1,000. So that's completely skewered the results for this one. But it's leveled out. If we take out that outlier, it's leveled out at around sort of I would say a 6.5 to 7. So not a game changer kit. I do actually really like this. Like, I would wear this in real life. So I don't know if it's a in real life kit that has transposed super well into the digital world, I would say. But I do like that it's all black with a bit of a splash of color. I think the issue is the front of the jersey is really, really cool. But on Zwift, you never see the front of the jersey. Just as a FYI to those making Zwift jerseys, the front is never seen. So I wouldn't even worry about
that
it.
does look really cool, actually. You only see it on that little image in the upper right there. So I do like this one. I'll give it a 7. I'd give this a 7 with the look of it. I just like it's a little bit of aggressive and also cool at the same time. Like, it's got that both of those feels going on. Now the Shiba socks, I had to double check and make sure that I was right about this, but those are the Kolchinsky socks. That's what those are. She has a Shiba that she's always hanging out with on her Instagram, and I just call them the Kolchinsky socks now. They're the KK socks. They're not the Shiba socks.
So does she wear these socks? Because she completely should. If she has a Shiba dog,
she should
wear the Shiba socks.
She should totally.
We'll have to find out.
I'm gonna have to ask her because she should just always have those on, I would think.
So this is a level 57 unlock. I had to look at what Shiba was, and it was either a dog breed or a cryptocurrency. So I don't really know which one Zwift has gone with. They've obviously got the dog breed there, but it's digital, so maybe it's a mix of dog breed and crypto, because that is the kind of logo for the cryptocurrency as well, which is a bit random.
Someone said that in the chat, and I didn't get what they were talking. Good call there. That's really funny.
Yeah. So a bit random. I'm going to give these like a 2. I'm not really a fan. I just think they look really shoddy.
I'm not a fan
I don't
either,
like
to be honest, but because of the relationship to like a friend of mine, I'm like, well, they're cool. Like, I like Shibas now only because I'm friends with Kristen. So yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd wear I don't know if I'd wear them though around, like, at all. Like, they totally are, unless you had like, okay, they're kind of like if you had you'd have to have some sort of really silly kit, right? And then it would be a 10 because it would add the perfect stamp to this, like, I don't know, your dinosaur kit or something or whatever. Like, when they're doing these different costume type situations, in the same way that like you can get a 10 when it's the horrible Christmas sweater thing, this would definitely go with like your horrible, I don't know, gingerbread cookie like setup that you're living in fantasy world.
So I'm getting, a lot of people are rating it pretty low. Like, Chris has come in with a 1.5, but Dan Pedroza has come in with like almost a 10. I'm just going to lay it out here. Okay, here are the times you can wear them. If your name is Kristen Kolchinsky, you can wear these socks. Or if you're celebrating like International Dog Day and you're doing it as like a themed kit, you can wear these socks. Obviously,
Otherwise,
you can do
not
whatever
allowed?
you want. No one has to listen to what I'm saying.
No, you're not allowed anymore. You will be hunted down by I'm going to send Coralie Arthur to hunt you down as the shark. The shark is coming for you.
I've just been asked, am I a cat person? I know I'm not like a dog or a cat person. If there was a picture of a cat, I'd also be like, that just looks so bad. I'm kind of like I don't like animated pictures like that on clothing. I don't know. I just think it
Yeah,
looks naff.
actually, I get that. I totally get that. Like, it's like wearing a South Park shirt with like Cartman's face. Like, it's like wearing like are you wearing a Looney Tunes shirt? Are you 5? like
Yeah.
But like I get
I
it.
know.
Okay, are you gonna like my kid sleeps in that in his pajamas. Like I get that.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'd send him to school in that unless he really, really likes it. I don't know. I have Transformer shirts when I was like in 5th grade. No,
Yeah.
like 3rd grade, not 5th grade. Yeah. Anyways.
And I think if I'm going to go like an animal on a cycling kit, it's got to be like a shark or a lion or like a puma or something like ferocious and fierce.
Yeti.
Not like, yeah, a yeti, not like a puppy or like a kitten. Yeah, not into it. There we go. So it's actually created a lot of
stripes.
chat.
The stripes. It has created a lot of chat. The stripes. I could have been better if there weren't like those stripes too. So I don't know. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
There we go. A
Sorry,
low
Zwift.
score.
Sorry,
About a 2.
Shebas.
Yeah.
Sorry, dog people. Oh man. All right.
no.
So what's coming up next? Well, next week we have Leah Thorvaldsen on. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I run an event every
Who's
week
bringing
for
the
a club,
food?
and
Who's bringing the food? That's the big question.
Is she
We
the
need to
cookie-
organize
she the cookie one.
food like tests. We're doing food tests next week. Like,
Oh, okay.
ratings.
Yeah,
We have
okay.
to.
I'll have to organize. I'll eat. I always get hungry on this podcast because I don't eat breakfast before. So I'm absolutely happy to bring some food in. I'll bring my oatmeal porridge. But okay, cool. I need to find out more about that and see what she wants to bring on. But yeah, I just started randomly chatting with her because she was my events liaison person. And yeah, I was actually like, I used to race with you on Zwift. So I just kind of want to hear her story. Like, what happened? What does she do now? Obviously, she's working at Zwift. Does she still race on her bike? So yeah, we'll find that all out next week.
Zwift Academy winner, Leah Thorvaldsen, going to be on
Exactly.
with us
Yeah.
next week. Going to be absolutely awesome. The first one to ever win Zwift Academy. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. If you didn't know and you're just tuning in or you're just finding this podcast somewhere, we have been live on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Zwift Community Live. It's also a podcast that you can download. Just search The Wrap and Zwift. You should find it real quickly. This has been episode number 33. We'll be back at you next week for episode 34 with Leah Thorvaldsen. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And as always, from Anna and I, ride on.